They once claimed that Filipino English would never stand out in the global arena. They insisted it would remain a local accent used only in classrooms, call centers, and small studios in the islands. But today, without fanfare and without force, Filipino English is quietly reshaping how millions of Americans speak, listen, and learn every single day. It has become the guiding tone behind broadcasts, documentaries, online lessons, and even the voices of artificial intelligence. Most people don't notice it at first, but when you listen closely, the influence is everywhere. From major newsrooms to viral creators, from podcasters to voiceover producers, and even inside the scripts of digital assistants. The steady rise of Filipino English has created a sound the world instantly understands. A sound defined by warmth, clarity, and balance. But how did this transformation happen? How did an accent formed in the islands of Southeast Asia become the hidden backbone of American communication? To answer that, we need to rewind far into the past. More than a century ago, the United States stepped into the Philippines. They arrived not only with troops, but with teachers. Schools across the archipelago were rebuilt, and English became the foundation of lessons, stories, newspapers, and daily life. The purpose was simple: teach the population a language that could bridge cultures and connect people. But the result became much bigger than anyone expected. Within just a few generations, the Philippines became one of the most English-proficient nations on Earth. But Filipinos didn't just adopt English. They transformed it. They blended the structure of American English with the rhythm, courtesy, and musicality of Filipino culture. The result became a style that is gentle but confident, respectful but firm, clear yet emotional. It's a way of speaking that never feels rushed or harsh. Instead, it flows with balance, sincerity, and intention. And in a world where communication is everything, clarity is power. That clarity became the secret weapon of Filipino English. It began attracting attention long before anyone realized it. The first major wave came during the early boom of customer service outsourcing. As American companies moved their call centers to the Philippines, they discovered something surprising. Their customers preferred talking to Filipino agents, not because of scripts or training, but because the natural Filipino tone made people feel understood, valued, and respected. Every conversation felt personal. Every sentence carried warmth. Every problem felt solvable because the voice on the other end carried genuine patience. That same voice quality is exactly what news channels want in their anchors. A tone that earns trust, a rhythm that keeps attention, a presence that communicates without friction. Over time, the Philippines became a global hub for voice-led industries. American podcasters hired Filipino editors. Content creators collaborated with Filipino narrators. Online teachers from the Philippines gained millions of students around the world. And with each partnership, the sound of Filipino English traveled farther, gaining respect in places where it was once unknown. Soon, a pattern became impossible to ignore. American broadcasters, even those who had never met a Filipino, began adopting the same pacing, the same controlled pauses, the same softened consonants, the same gentle emphasis on important words. Watch an American news segment today. Listen carefully. The delivery feels familiar in a new way. Words like information, schedule, or data often follow a rhythm shaped by global influences, especially the Filipino style. Anchors now speak with a smoother pace that balances authority and friendliness. A tone that mirrors the same qualities Filipino speakers naturally use. Why? Because the modern world rewards voices that communicate clearly and empathetically. And Filipino English delivers both effortlessly. But the influence doesn't stop with television. It extends deep into technology. AI companies, when training their global voice systems, often choose Filipino English as part of their datasets. Why? Because it's neutral enough to be understood worldwide, yet warm enough to feel human. It bridges Western structure and Asian rhythm, creating a sound that appeals across cultures. Today, when an AI voice gives directions, reads a message, or narrates a story, there's a high chance the patterns behind that voice were shaped by Filipino pronunciation. It's not always obvious, but the foundation is there. Clear, balanced, globally friendly. Filipino English has become a form of soft power, not through politics or force, but through the simple act of speaking with heart. Millions of Filipino professionals teach, guide, narrate, and explain in English every day. And their voices leave traces on every learner they interact with. When students grow up speaking with clarity learned from their Filipino tutors, they bring that clarity forward into their careers. When they become journalists, presenters, or broadcasters, they use the same habits, the same rhythm, the same thoughtful tone. That's how influence spreads. Quietly, patiently, from voice to voice, from generation to generation. There's something poetic about this transformation. For decades, Filipinos were trained to adapt to Western English. Now, the West is adapting to them. The sound that once belonged only to classrooms and offices in Manila, Cebu, and Davao has found its way into microphones in New York, Los Angeles, and Washington. The gentle confidence that Filipinos naturally carry in their speech has traveled across oceans and blended into global media. But to understand why Filipino English resonates so strongly, we need to look beyond grammar and vocabulary. Language is not just sound. Language is emotion, respect, kindness, softness when needed, a natural empathy that comforts the listener, a warmth that makes communication feel human. These qualities shine especially in moments of tension. When audiences around the world feel overwhelmed by hostile debates, political noise, and chaotic news, they turn to voices that make them feel safe. The Filipino tone delivers exactly that. Calm but steady, warm but clear, friendly but professional. That is why so many American creators now hire Filipino narrators for documentaries, ads, and inspirational content. They want their viewers to feel something genuine. They want voices that keep attention instead of tiring the ears. And they have discovered what call center leaders realized years ago. The Filipino voice connects with people. It builds trust. It creates comfort. This shift reflects a bigger change in global culture. For so long, American English was viewed as the standard. But globalization rewrote the rules. English is no longer a single accent or nation. It's a worldwide tool shaped by every culture that uses it. And among all these variations, Filipino English has emerged as one of the most effective and widely appreciated. It balances East and West. It adapts without losing identity. It remains clear while staying warm. It carries confidence without becoming aggressive. Even Hollywood has noticed. Some dialogue coaches now train actors to adopt softer, more international tones for worldwide releases. These patterns, without naming them, mirror Filipino English closely. A smoother rise and fall of pitch, a calm pacing that guides the listener, a friendly articulation that feels inviting. This doesn't mean that actors are intentionally copying Filipino English. It means the style Filipinos naturally use aligns perfectly with what the global audience prefers. In other words, the world is beginning to sound a little more Filipino, and most people don't even realize it. The influence is equally strong in education. Millions of American, European, and Asian students take online English classes from Filipino teachers every year. They repeat the same pronunciation. They mirror the same clarity. They learn the same balanced pacing. These habits become part of their speech as they grow older. When they enter careers in media, communications, or journalism, they bring those habits with them. This is how the sound spreads, not through force, but through connection. And it's not just about accents. It's about identity. Filipino English represents a blend of cultures, a voice shaped by history, but elevated by compassion. It shows that the world listens not to the loudest voice, but to the voice that communicates with heart. Every time an American anchor delivers a piece of breaking news with a calm, measured tone, the influence grows. Every time an AI system speaks with clarity and warmth, the influence spreads. Every time a content creator uses a Filipino narrator to improve engagement, the influence strengthens.
Filipino English has become part of global communication without demanding attention. You might notice a familiar rhythm, a gentle clarity you've heard somewhere before. That is the whisper of the Philippines, carried across continents, a subtle imprint of the islands woven into the sound of global media. Filipino English is more than an accent. It is proof that language evolves through connection. Proof that clarity and respect matter more than perfection. Proof that a small nation can influence the world simply by speaking with sincerity. The Philippines never had to shout to be heard. Its voice traveled naturally, through professionals, teachers, broadcasters, and creators who shared their sound with the world. Now that sound is part of everyday life in countries far beyond the islands. It has become one of the voices of global communication, So the next time you hear a voice that feels warm, steady, and respectful, remember this. There may be a touch of the Philippines in every word, a piece of the island shaping how the world listens, a reminder that the most powerful voices are often the ones rooted in kindness. Filipino English isn't just influencing news channels across America, it is redefining what good communication means in the 21st century. It shows that the world is drawn to voices that speak with heart, not just flawless grammar. And that is why millions of newsrooms, studios, AI systems, and classrooms have embraced it, sometimes without even realizing it. Whether you're in Manila, New York, London, or Tokyo, your voice matters. Your tone carries power. Your way of speaking can cross borders, shape conversations, and change the way people connect. Filipino English has proven that one voice, spoken with clarity and warmth, can influence the entire world. And this story is far from over. It's still growing, one broadcast at a time. One lesson at a time. One conversation at a time. If you enjoyed this documentary, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories about how language and culture quietly shape our world.